Another big name that I
All
wanted
right,
to
big
talk
name.
about. DraftKings, popular name, I should say, very
Very, very
popular
popular.
name,
Very popular
DKNG.
name. Very
Berenberg
popular name.
says sell DraftKings. Initiated, it was not a downgrade. They just came right out and said, hey, we're now covering the stock. It's a sell. Let's go with Emily.
Okay.
Agree, disagree.
I would not sell. I mean, what about it?
Now,
The
this
trend's
is a
still
sell I'm
slightly
taking
bullish.
from an investment perspective since
Correct.
it's a bank ranking, right?
Berenberg. Yep.
Hmm.
Matt?
No, I wouldn't sell.
I mean, if you're a believer, you're a believer, period, end of sentence. Um, the fundamentals, I have concerns about their fundamentals. Like, it's a trade for me above 55, but it's not an investment for me. I would have to agree.
Mark, fundamental sell by Berenberg. This is a stock I know that you have strong opinions about. So
I agree with the sell. Listen, but it's not for fundamental reason. If you want to make the fundamental argument, guess what? I'll give you about 4,000 other companies to make the fundamental
I don't
argument
know. It's
with,
got a
right?
price to sales ratio of 73.6 right now.
Listen. There's so much insanity out there to single out one company versus another and say, "Oh, this is more insane than this level of insanity." Listen, the reason I don't like DraftKings and like whenever it's came up as a potential candidate, I've been a veto on it. In this crazy market, in this euphoric market, there's been no juice here. There's been no juice, and it's had some of the sharpest sell-offs in short term out of this type of company. And I'm not talking
Hmm.
sports betting companies. I'm talking about these new hyper,
Popular.
story stocks. There just isn't the momentum. There isn't the love. I think the sell-offs can be deep. Now on deeper sell-offs, I look at targeting those low 30s. That's what I've been doing, selling naked puts in that level when the opportunities arisen over the last 4, 5, 6, 7 months. But yeah, I think the sentiment's dead here. I think now one thing I like about DraftKings is it benefits from an endless string of algorithmic headlines, right? Sports betting opening here, New York looking into opening it here, Michigan looking to open it here. I'm a big believer in the space. I'm a big believer in the space. I just don't think it has any juice right now. So I think you're going to see lower prices.
hmm. I'm a big disagree. Obviously, you guys know my bias on this stock. I own it, and I've owned it for a long time, pretty much since Michael Jordan got
Tim's
involved. The
like,
theme started
stop
developing.
sending my shares down, Mark.
Um,
Well,
I'm not saying it
I
has to be a
think there's
buy.
a legitimate argument here, though. Let's
Yeah.
hear them out.
Well, I don't think it has to be a buy. I think if somebody came out and said neutral while they try to get their brand out there and get new people on board and see what happens with the regulations out of like New York State. I know Andrew Cuomo just came out last week, Mark, and talked about how he wants to bring legal gambling into New York State as a part of his new policy initiative. So you've got these endless themes behind this online gambling movement moving forward, and I think DraftKings has brand recognition in that space and all those type of things. So if somebody said neutral because they just feel like they've got to let it play out and see the chart more, let the fundamentals play themselves out, see more evidence as it moves forward of what happens with these states and municipalities about legal gambling, I would be open to that part of it. But to come out rightly and just say sell DraftKings, I just don't, I just disagree with.
Well, and I certainly do not think the movement is over, right? Like there was a time where I was just looking at Tilray's chart where like this is, and you can't touch this, right? There was a
Mhm.
time when the lunacy on what was it? Oh, Beyond Meat was just ridiculous, and we're like, this can't continue. I don't think that's the case on DraftKings. I just
No,
think the
it's not.
DraftKings has in my opinion, has a viable path to profitability, has a viable path to becoming a fundamentally strong company. And even though the theme has not emerged here like it did in this wave or when DraftKings went IPO, you haven't seen outside of and I'm just talking recently, you still see some consistent technicals here, and you still see an increasing support level potentially threatening a breakout of 55. So like I'm talking more from the investing side of it. Like DraftKings is a tradable instrument, but for Tim it's an investing instrument, and I certainly believe that there is a path to profitability. I just think right now you're starting that investment at a very, very high price relative to what that fundamental value is.
You're paying premium. It's not even a debate. You're paying a lot of premium based on their current numbers. So you have to believe in the long-term theme if you're going to get behind a DKNG. I agree with that.
Well, and I do believe in the long-term theme.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
I
do
do.
as well.
I do.
100%. I just can't see the majority of states not salivating at the thought of that juicy revenue. Listen, we all know government
exactly,
spends money.
Mark.
We know governments spend money. Republican, Democrat, they spend
Doesn't
money,
matter.
and they got to find new sources of revenue. Sports betting is a juicy market. And so you're going to see online
Well,
gambling, and I think that increases the whole base.
Think
Like, I'm
about
here in Utah.
post-pandemic too, though, Mark. Think about post-pandemic. Think about
Yeah,
how
like-
much debt we're throwing at this problem.
It's just
like,
about finding a deal. When I invest in something, I like to feel like I'm getting a deal. It's just
I
that
get
simple.
it.
I don't feel
I
like
get
I'm
it.
getting a deal
Mhm.
right now.
Mhm.